Hi, my name is Lisa Meese, and I founded Holding Space, and it is a nurturing touch and professional cuddling practice. And so I'd like to talk to you today about why what I do is valuable and how it helps people, and the science there. I've been doing this for just under a year, and the clients that I've seen have told me some profound stories about how it has helped them and how it has helped them find themselves and find more courage to go out and do the things they want to do in the world. And there's some reasons for that that are backed up by science, so I'd like to share that with you today. Touch is the first sense we develop. This is true of all animals, and we don't ever shut it off. If you think about your other senses, you can shut off sight by closing your eyes, you can shut off hearing, you can get a cold and then you can't taste anything. We've had all of these experiences, but we have never been without touch. It is a fundamental part of our existence. When we talk about sensations, when we talk about what's happening with us, we call them feelings. We don't call them smellings or hearings or seeings, right? Touch is actually the word with the longest definition in the Oxford Dictionary. So a lot of our language revolves around touch. We've known for centuries that intuitively, touch is very important to us. And as we've studied it, the science really backs that up. This is a picture of an experiment that you may have heard of. This gentleman, Harry Harlow, took primates, and gave them a choice between a soft, cuddly mother figure and a mother figure that would feed them, but was made out of wire and didn't provide any nurturing. And what he found was universally, these baby monkeys spent as much time as they could with the soft, cuddly creature. This is true for human babies as well. We know that kind of tragically, as we've studied orphanages where infants have a caretaker ratio of 20-1, can you imagine being the sole caretaker for 20 infants? You're not going to be able to spend time nurturing them. And there have been periods of our scientific understanding of child rearing where we thought it was bad for children to touch them. And so we have some data around what happens to human babies when they don't get touch. They don't grow. They don't grow physically. A baby or a child who has spent time in a no-touch or low-touch environment, you can see that in their bones the whole rest of their lives. You put them in an MRI machine, you can see the difference in their bone plates, in their shins is where it's been studied. Also, we see the difference in IQ. And the good thing there is if you're able to take a child who's suffering these deficits and within about a couple of years move them into a high nurture environment, you can reverse the issue with their IQ, although their physical growth is still stunted for the rest of their life. So this has led David Linden, who wrote a book on touch, to say touch is not optional for human development. It is a part of what we need. And this stays true for adults, mostly because touch, for many people and under the right circumstances, reduces stress. The stress hormone, one of the primary stress hormones in the body, is called cortisol. And cortisol is kind of nasty stuff. It is correlated with heart disease and cancer and gastrointestinal problems, eczema and asthma, all kinds of stuff you do not want. So why would our bodies create this stuff that will kill us when we're stressed and already having a bad day? So in Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, he explains that when we are under stress, our bodies expect us to need to perform some kind of physical activity. We're going to need to fight, we're going to need to flee, we're going to need to, clean things up later. If I think about the people who are recovering from hurricanes right now and still, dragging the carpet out of their house where it was flooded, that takes a lot of energy, right? So the cortisol and the adrenaline that our body pumps out is meant to help us, and we have to burn it off. We can burn it off through physical activity, but it's also true that we can burn it off through touch. In studies done by Tiffany Field from the Touch Institute of Miami, she compared what happened when people received a massage with is not a very physically strenuous activity. I mean, for the person giving the massage maybe, but not for the person receiving it, right? With what happened when people did other kinds of mindfulness relaxation techniques, but that did not include touching anybody. And both of these things will create relaxation. Both of them will reduce self-reports of depression over a period of time, but only the touch intervention reduces cortisol as measured in the saliva immediately after the first intervention, or first treatment. So it's a way that you can move that corrosive stuff out of your body if you are not able to be physically active, if you need something in addition to being physically active. It's another intervention that we can make. So that's an immediate way to reduce our stress. We know that touch also improves our immune function. There are cells in our body called NK cells. NK stands for natural killer. How badass is that, right? We have natural killer cells. And they're kind of the frontline defense for our immune system. And when we have a touch intervention, the number of those cells in our body goes up. The other thing that goes up is immunoglobulin A, which is an antibody that works on our mucous membranes. So if you think about how it's coming to be cold season right now, and you're going to be, in the grocery store and somebody's going to sneeze and it's still going to be in the air and you're going to breathe it in. And if you've got more immunoglobulin A, then it's going to get negated by the body, hopefully, before it makes you sick. So we know that being in close physical contact with other humans improves our immune functioning in that way. We also know that it improves cognitive function. Some of the studies here we'll take people and ask them to do math problems, and then we will have them hold somebody's hand and then have them do more math problems. Other research has had them do math problems and then get a massage and do more math problems. And so what we have found is that people who are receiving touch are better able to solve these problems. They solve them twice as fast with half as many errors, one study showed. And so it helps your brain. Some scientists think that we evolved social relationships to distribute problem solving among various brains. And so, as Dr. Jane Cohen says, holding the hand of really anybody, it makes your brain work just a little less harder to cope. So he did this study where people held somebody's hand and then gave a public speech and then had to do math problems. Everyone makes you do math problems for this research. And he found that even if the person whose hand you held was a stranger, your cognitive ability after the stressful intervention is better. If it's somebody you know, then it goes up even more. But it doesn't actually have to be someone you know. It does have to be somebody who doesn't scare you. And there's a whole bunch of research around oxytocin and what happens and how that benefits the body. That's another video. But the key thing is the effect really only works if you're in an environment where you trust the person that you're touching. So that is important. Don't feel like you can go out and randomly hug strangers on the street without their consent and make the world a better place. That will be not how that works, okay? So we know that touch is a more sophisticated system than we give it credit for. We know this because we've done studies, actually some of these studies have been done right here in Indiana by Dr. Matt Hertenstein out at DePauw, great guy. Really interesting work where he had people touch another person's arm while they were separated so they couldn't see each other. And he was able to discover that we can tell the emotion that somebody else is trying to present to us, trying to communicate to us just through touch. This is why it matters that you're touching another human versus the touch that your feet feel against the floor, or that your butt feels against the chair, or that my arm feels against my sleeve. That touch is different than touch from another living creature. Another thing that might explain some of that is sort of that heart math work around the electromagnetic field of another heart, in addition to touch. So all of that stuff makes touch beneficial to your body, to your immune system, to your brain. So how do you get more touch into your life? This can be a hard thing to do. The first thing I'm going to recommend is that you work with a professional. There are a couple of benefits to that. First, the boundaries are pretty clear. Whether it's a professional cuddler or a massage therapist or going and getting your hair done or going and getting a pet manicure and pedicure, all of these people will touch you and you understand the context of that, which helps the oxytocin because you're in a trusting environment. You understand what's going on, you trust it, it isn't scaring you. So that's where you get the best benefits. Another piece of that benefit is it should be firm touch, not super light, feathery, tickly touches. They don't have the same effect. You want something that is solid contact. Dr. Tiffany Field, whose name I mentioned earlier, from the Miami Touch Research Institute, talks about how as touch becomes more proscribed by society, we're spending more money on other ways to get touch. So massage and having your hair done and alternative therapies. So it's as though this is a need that we have, which we know, and as the society prescribes our ability to go and get that need met, we have to find other ways to do it. And so, again, work with a professional. If you want to find me, so here's where my slides got out of order and I'm going to stumble, but I've been working on this video a while and I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to keep the stumble and keep going. So, Cuddlist.com. Nationally, if you're looking for someone who's serious about this work and has proven that by going and getting some training and being certified, find them on Cuddlist.com. You can find me there on Cuddlist.com/Lisa, or you can find me at HoldingSpaceLLC.com. I've got more information about my work. You've got a link to my YouTube channel, which you might have already found because you're watching a video, or my Facebook. So I've got a bunch of information out there. Come see me if you're in the Indianapolis area. I'd love to work with you. And I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope to do some more of these on how to get some of these benefits yourself, and also on some of the consent stuff, which is so important to the work on touch. But for today, just talking about the health benefits of touch, and there we go. Thanks for listening.